915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we are broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex, and today we have Mac Daddy on the board. Mac Daddy, how you doing this afternoon?
Hey, Andy. I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
You know, I must once again confess to all our borderland listeners that my vocabulary is painfully poverty-stricken. I am unable to fully describe the wonder and joy that this educational journey has brought us as we learn to love our city, love our neighbor, and give God all the glory.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we learn about so many different things on 915 Talk.
Yes.
But it's been a minute since we last had our history lesson.
Actually, yes. I was thinking about that this day.
Right. And it in the past we talked about, who did we talk about? Pancho Villa.
Yes. About, oh man, I'm trying to think.
The assassination of a federal judge.
That is true.
That is part of, sadly, part of El Paso history.
Oh yeah.
We talked about
Juan de Oñate, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, I recently went to the spot where he crossed the Rio Grande.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I drove there with my wife. I was just, it was, we'll have to talk with our guest about that because that was kind of an interesting moment. But today we're going to talk about, Mac Daddy, who's the most famous person you know in El Paso who once lived in El Paso?
Oh, wow. Oh, I'm going to say Bernie Sargent.
Oh, man. The most famous person I know is Mac Daddy, don't know. But it is interesting because, you know, when you live in a city of this size, of course, there's going to be some famous people there. Also, there was kind of like this golden age of El Paso, which you can kind of see when you walk around downtown, even in some of the abandoned buildings. So we're going to be talking about that today.
Okay.
And for that, we have the Borderlands premier historian. His military rank is equal to his surname. So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only, Sergeant Bernie Sargent. Bernie, welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Yeah, it's super fun to learn about El Paso, to learn about our community. Our history affects us today. So you'll laugh at this. My wife and I, a few weeks ago, it was a Saturday, and I said, we've never been to San Elizario. So let's go. And we drove out there, and as we're driving around, I realized we were getting close to chicken. What is it? Not Chicken Run
Road. Yes.
Yeah. And I said, "Oh, hold on, this is going to be a really big deal." And so she's like, "What is it?" I said, "No, I'm about to blow your mind." So we're going down this road, and on one side there's some houses, on the other side there's this field, and we made it to the spot where America started. Bernie, I'm sure you've been there.
Oh yeah.
Describe the magnificent view.
Yeah, it's an amazing little piece of property that where Oñate camps.
Right.
Where you were at the end of Chicken Ranch Road used to be on the south side of the river. Yeah, and that's where he would have. Well, let's just say by the time they got there, they were so lacking in water that a lot of the animals raced to the river and started drinking to the point where they were so totally drained of moisture. It was let's just say it was fatal for them.
Right.
It didn't work out in their benefit. But that's where they set up their camp, and they did the La Toma. They took possession of the New Mexico there at that spot, and held a play, and it was a huge celebration. I mean, you had to figure that was a big group of people and animals. And then they had to lay plans well, where are they going to cross that river?
Right.
Well, today we like, okay, well, I got a 4-wheel drive, no problem. There at the time, with the river being so wide and running, they sent 4 swimmers upstream to find the easiest place to cross all of the animals, people, and equipment, which was up right around where the Hacienda restaurant is today. It
Right.
used to be, but the building is there.
Yeah. Okay. So, uh, I'm just going to say to our listeners, if you want to go to the place where America began, the place where Oñate crossed or the river for the first time, claimed New Mexico for the Spanish crown, do not do that as a special trip. It's a trailer park right up next to the wall. That's what it is. It's a trailer park. But I do believe it is worth going to San Elizario, and that was a lot of fun. It was a quiet morning. I know later on in the year there's more going on, and they stage. Is it a gunfight that you used to be a part of, Bernie?
No, that was a different group.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a different group. They do that. With all fairness to San Elizario, it's such a nice place. It just
Mhm.
needs more exposure, more
Yeah.
visibility to the rest of the world. It's improved drastically, so you can imagine what it was like a few years
Oh,
ago.
wow.
Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
really kind of sad because it's a really cool place, and I like the stores, the shops, the people are great, the reenactments are fun to watch. But that wasn't our group; that was another group.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's not Disney World,
No.
but it is a fun way to spend a Saturday morning.
Mhm.
So we went to the Mission Church. We went to the jail where Billy the Kid was. It seems every jail we visit in this part of the country, Billy the Kid was there at one point or the other. The
Either
gift
broke
shops.
into or broke out of, right?
Right. We yes, so we saw the jail, which was pretty interesting. We saw the stores, which you mentioned. Uh, the museum has a lot about the Salt Wars, which would
Yeah.
be an interesting topic for a future conversation, because it really was a big deal in the history of our region. But at the end, we were looking for a place to eat. We couldn't find anything in San Elizario. So we ended up at the dairy, which was a lot of fun as well.
Holy cone, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, just a shout out for San Elizario. If you live in El Paso and you're just looking for a place to get out on a Saturday morning, give it a try. But that's not the point of our discussion. But our conversation today is not about San Elizario. It's about El Paso celebrities. Where do we begin, Bernie?
Well, here, one that I found pretty interesting was a young lady by the name of Jessie Irene Noblet. Most of us
Yes,
would know as Granny Clampett.
Granny Clampett.
Mhm.
Okay. And
She was born in El Paso,
okay.
and down in the area where the Children's Museum is. That's where
Okay.
her apartment, where her parents' apartment was, that she was born in back in 1902.
Okay. So
And
I'm not even going to ask Mac Daddy Del Norte who Granny Clampett is because he doesn't know. But she's a pretty big deal. It's the Beverly Hillbillies.
absolutely.
Yeah, that was a great show to watch. I remember growing up, that's what I would watch when I was sick home from school. That and The Price is Right. But Granny Clampett was born in El Paso.
Yeah, she sure was. Her full name in the Beverly Hillbillies was Daisy Moses.
Daisy Moses. Okay.
Yeah. And I never ever heard that until I did a little bit background research on it and went, oh. And she was the mother-in-law of Jed Clampett.
Okay, so I'm not going to pretend to know more than I do. I just looked it up online. So
Hmm.
Daisy Moses, also known as Granny Clampett of the
Hmm.
Beverly Hillbillies, her name was Irene Ryan in
Right,
real life.
right.
And do you know how long she lived in El Paso?
Not very long. Not very
Okay,
long at all. Yeah.
all right.
Her father was in the military. He
Oh,
also
gotcha.
worked on one of the early newspapers there in El Paso.
Okay.
And they left El Paso and went east, and he picked up a newspaper that he worked on east of here. So
Uh-huh.
it's kind of interesting. And the Moses name came from the fact that they adopted what was his name? Grandma Moses, who was very well known and passed away at the age of 101, 1 year before the Beverly Hillbillies series started in 1962.
Okay. All right. So Granny Clampett, born in an apartment building where the El Paso Children's Museum is today. And I think that also is a good reminder of just how different areas of El Paso have changed over the years.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's if you take a little bit further history of her and her first husband, whose last name was Ryan, they had a skit that they did in vaudeville for a number of years. They kind of gleaned that whole skit, George Burns and Gracie Allen. They gleaned that skit and they used that as their moniker. But they got that from Irene Ryan and her first husband.
Okay. Very cool. So Irene Ryan, her father was in the military, but he was also a newspaper man.
He was involved with newspaper. They ended up in San Francisco at a very young age. She was 11 years old, and she won her first entertainment contest. She won $3 for singing "Pretty Baby" in the Valencia Theater in San Francisco.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So celebrities from El Paso. We have Irene Ryan. Who else do we have?
A gentleman by the name of, let me pull this up and I will go. Oh, that I think everybody probably has heard of, Anthony Quinn.
Anthony Quinn. Okay. For those who don't know, who is Anthony Quinn?
He was an actor, very, very famous actor, not starred, but had roles in more than 100 movies. He was Zorba the Greek in Zorba the Greek. He was in that movie. I think most people have seen that one. His family is originally from Chihuahua City, and his father actually served, I believe, for a short time in the under Pancho Villa, and they decided to cross the river and get away from that. He was born 1915 in Chihuahua City in Mexico.
Okay. Oh, so he was born in Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Do we know how and when he moved to El Paso? The story behind that?
Yeah, they moved to El Paso. I guess he was about 2 years old when they moved there. So having been born in 1915, so 1917 is when they moved to the United States.
Right.
His last name was, his whole name was Antonio Rodolfo Quinn Oaxaca.
Okay, so his real last name was not Quinn.
No, no. That's such a Hispanic name.
Right. That reminds me of sometimes when folks call me about different jobs, and they'll give me the Anglo name for their actual real name, and I think you don't have to do that. But I must confess that I had not heard of him. Which you're going to be mortified by, Bernie. But I'm looking. He was in Lawrence of Arabia. That's a pretty big movie.
Yes.
He was in. Let's see what else. There was a Spike Lee film he was in. He was also in the Guns of Navarone.
Yeah.
So some Jungle Fever. That's the Spike Lee movie. He was there with played with Wesley Snipes. Samuel L. Jackson, Halle Berry, so some pretty big names in there. So did he spend his whole childhood in El Paso?
No. They moved to Los Angeles area when he was fairly young.
Okay.
They just couldn't make ends meet in El Paso, so they moved west.
Okay.
And that's where he picked up and actually ended up getting a couple of roles in movies. And the career just kind of took off. He was half Irish and half Mexican.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's where the Quinn came from.
Okay. All right. So Anthony, go ahead.
He studied boxing, which he kind of looks the part. And but what surprised me is he also studied architecture.
Oh, interesting.
Under Frank Lloyd Wright. And most folks are very much aware of the Trost scenario with the brothers there in El Paso. They were competitors of Frank Lloyd Wright, but when he was in California, that's where he studied architecture under Frank Lloyd Wright.
Okay, so he spent some of his. So he was born in Chihuahua, moved to El Paso, spent some of his childhood years in El Paso, then went on to fame and glory in LA. And very cool. Anthony Quinn, again, his real name was
Antonio Rodolfo Quinn Oaxaca.
okay. I guess Quinn was his name then. That was on the Irish side.
Yeah, on the Irish side, but they early on they never picked that kind of stuff up. They, they went with the original name. He
Right.
also went back to El Paso one time in 1964 when he filed for divorce in Juarez,
Oh,
which was a very popular place for people to file for divorce.
okay. That's a very sad part of the story. But what was it? Just a matter of convenience? It was easier to file there.
Cheap and convenient.
Okay.
In fact, there was so much of that taking place. There was a little small airport out in the Santa Teresa area that
Mhm.
a lot of the stars would fly into, and then they would go across the border, get their divorce, and they would fly out of. Now, Artavino's restaurant is fairly well known for some of the folks staying there because they had some rooms that they would put people up, and they had one of the first in-ground swimming pools, outdoor swimming pools in the area. And if you talk to Robert Artavino, I think he has some pictures of some of these celebs sitting around the pool. What a world we live in, huh?
Yeah. Well, at KELP, we are family radio, so we need to express our regret
Yes.
that this is
We,
part of our history. But it is interesting to learn about. So celebrities were flying into El Paso to go across to Juarez to save some money on their breakup of their family, I
I
guess.
know.
Right.
Sad but true. It's a fact of life, but we learn by it.
Yeah, and it is fun, just for me to be reminded of some of these older movies, and I need to start watching some of these. These are really, really famous names, but Anthony Quinn,
Mhm.
there he is with a
Yeah.
background in El Paso.
Yeah, they were
Very
in
cool.
one of the brick apartment buildings in Chihuahuita. That's where their
Okay,
apartment was that they lived in.
very cool. And can we speak just a bit about the 60s? Was that a different time for celebrities? Maybe the view of El Paso. How was that different than what we see today?
Faster moving. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, it was much, much faster moving. If you're talking about the 60s, how about Sharon Tate?
Okay.
They
Sharon
lived
Tate.
in, yeah, she lived in El Paso in 1959 and 1960.
Okay.
Her father was also in the military. They lived in a little house on Roanoke Drive, which is not too far from the school that she attended, Irvin High School.
Okay, she went to Irvin High School. Very cool.
Mhm. Yeah, and
And
go ahead.
yeah, I'm pulling this up because again, Bernie, I must apologize, and deeply regret that I am once again exposing my ignorance. But that's a name that I've heard kind of in the back of my head somewhere, but I don't know that I have watched any of these movies. So Sharon Tate,
Well,
the
if you recall the Tate LaBianca murders in Hollywood,
yeah, I'm seeing that. So can you give a just a quick primer on what that was?
well, she got a couple of bit roles in movies, and the second movie she got a bit role in was one that was directed by Roman Polanski,
Okay.
and he fell madly in love with her and thought she was the best thing in the world. They ended up getting married, and she got pregnant, and he was away directing a movie, and her and a number of friends were at her house, and they were playing cards and having a glass of wine, and someone came in, a group of people came in,
Wow.
and she was I mean, ruthlessly murdered
Wow.
at that particular situation,
Yeah, and
which is really sad. She was a up and coming star, had starred in a number of movies. Let's see, one of the movies was with you call it. She played Jennifer North in The Valley of the Dolls. That was her sort of the breakout movie that she was in, and
mhm.
the Golden Globe was for the most promising actress. She was in a movie called Don't Make Waves with Tony Curtis. The Wrecking Crew with Dean Martin, where she played kind of a clumsy secret agent uh, with Dean Martin.
Hmm.
So that those are a couple of the movies that she was in. She also uh, liked to do her own stunts where she could, which was really in the 60s was rare because
Oh wow.
they wanted stunt people to do them. So her choreographer and stunt coordinator was Bruce Lee.
Oh wow. Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, tragic. I see she was murdered when she was 26 years old.
yeah.
That's wow, beyond tragic. One of the things that's fun to just think about with a lot of these is she went to Irvin High School. That's up in the northeast part of El Paso. That's what I would call, just generally speaking, more of a working class area of the
Hmm.
city, and it's a good reminder that a lot of these stars probably had some kind of humble beginnings, and even if they were in El Paso shortly or for not a long period of time, they still managed to really kind of have a career that ended up skyrocketing. And it's just a good reminder that no matter where you're at right now in life, it's the whole world is ahead of you, and just enormous potential. So here we have Sharon Tate. Her most famous role, I guess, was in Valley of the Dolls.
Yeah.
But super cool, this story about Bruce Lee uh, choreographing her stunts.
Hmm.
Kind of an exciting thing. So, okay, Sharon Tate. All right.
Yeah, and then while she was studying with Bruce Lee, one of his other students was Steve McQueen.
Okay.
And Steve McQueen took a liking to Texas. He liked the Western atmosphere, as
Right.
did Roman Polanski. Now, Roman Polanski never did a movie in Texas. Steve McQueen did get involved with a movie in Texas. Ally McGraw was her name, and
Yes.
it was The Getaway. They filmed a lot of that in El Paso. So if you go
So,
back and watch that movie from the I believe the 60s, early 70s, you'll see a lot of what used to be in the uh, convention center area of downtown.
right. Okay. Very cool. So Sam Elliott is who you're thinking of.
Yeah, Sam Elliott.
Right. Okay. So, uh, are you saying that it was because of her that because of Sharon Tate that Steve McQueen became interested and started doing
No,
stuff
no,
in Texas?
no. I don't necessarily think that's the case. It just is kind of a strange irony that they were both training under Bruce Lee at the
Oh,
same time.
okay. So they were just training at the same time, and Roman Polanski, who was Sharon Tate's, I guess they ended up getting married.
Yes, they did.
Never came to Texas really to do film, but Steve McQueen kind of became uh, interested or intrigued about the Wild West, and he came. And I guess it would be conjecture, but fun conjecture to think that maybe they somehow interacted and Sharon shared about the West Texas.
It would be hard to believe they didn't meet each other during that time period because
Hmm.
of the training schedules and so on. But
Sure.
yeah, at that time she was married to Roman Polanski, so I don't think Steve McQueen had his propensity for liking the women, but
Uh,
she was
right.
pretty true to Roman Polanski.
Right. Very cool. If you're just joining us, we're today with our resident in-house historian extraordinaire. His military rank is equal to his surname. It's Sergeant Bernie Sargent. Truly enjoy these conversations. We say each and every day that we're here to learn to love our city, love our neighbors, give God all the glory. And I do believe that a big part of learning to love our city is getting to know the history just a little bit at a time. And we've had so many good conversations with Bernie about even back to the time of Añate, Pancho Villa, all these different conversations. Today, we're talking about celebrities that spent part of their lives in El Paso, which is just super fun to hear about, even if they only spent a brief portion of their life, just knowing that their history is knit with our borderland community. We do need to take a break. Before we go into the break, this is your daily reminder that 915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. The website is just that, desertvoice.media. And I'll say this, particularly if you're enjoying these history conversations. And if you missed some of them in the past, you can go to desertvoice.media and click on that 915 talk link, kind of scroll through it and find previous conversations with Bernie Sargent. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Breaking worldwide news. You can now feed your mind, feed your soul with great Christian teaching and talk on Alexa. That's right. All you have to say is, "Hey Alexa, play KELP radio," and boom! Instant Christian teaching, talk, and truth 24/7.
Greetings, KELP listeners. My name is Terry Gray, and I have the joy and privilege of serving as the pastor of Calvary Chapel Sun City, located on the west side of El Paso. I also have the joy of connecting with the radio audience in the borderland through the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. On Summons, we study the Bible book by book, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, precept by precept. Please join us each weekday at 5 p.m. for Summons right here on KELP.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
And we're back. You are listening to 915 Talk. I am your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're with Bernie Sargent, I guess it's unfair to say our in-house historian. He lives in East Texas currently, but he spent how many years in El Paso, Bernie?
36.
36. And I saw somewhere on the internet, so I know it's true, that you've spent, I think it was 30,000 hours in volunteer community service. You are still such a great part of the El Paso community. And
Thank you.
again, we appreciate your time in these conversations. So, all right, we've talked about Anthony Quinn. We talked about Sharon Tate. We talked about Granny Clampett. That was a fun one. I feel like the fact that Granny Clampett was born next to the Children's Museum is something I'm going to bring up now every time I'm with somebody downtown.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting life that she led. She was a chain smoker, which up to the day she died, everybody kept trying to get her to quit smoking, and she just wouldn't do it. That ultimately was part of the reason why she passed away. She lived to she was 70 years old.
Right.
But she was quite an individual, very entertaining individual. People loved being around her. She was just a lot of fun. It was kind of cool. Now, someone else that's doesn't get a whole lot of airplay is a lady by the name of Sandra Day O'Connor.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's what I think I know. She was on the Supreme Court, right?
Yes, sir. She sure was.
All right. So that's a pretty big deal. I mean, that's probably a bigger deal than starring in a movie in Hollywood, although not as fun.
Not as fun, no. She was the first female on the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And she went to Radford School for 11 years.
Okay.
And her father had a rather large ranch in Arizona, but it was too far away from any schools, so she ended up going to a private school here, or I should say there, for 11 years, and went back to the ranch for a year, and then she went back to El Paso and finished at Austin High School in 1946.
Right. That's I think Austin High School can be proud of that for sure. Yeah. And just as proud as they are that Mac Daddy Del Norte went to Austin High School.
Well, it still exists, huh?
Yeah, I live within walking distance of Austin High School, so I've walked by it many times. It's a really cool piece of architecture, actually. But
it is.
Also, I forget what it's called, but they do have her name on the side of the high school. I think it's like the Sandra Day O'Connor Center. Our listeners can help me with whatever I'm missing right here in this. But to have the first female Supreme Court justice graduating from your high school is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, Bradford's pretty proud of it too. So if you go over there, you'll see a lot of comment about her being a
Right.
student.
Right.
But
Yeah. It's kind of unfair to Radford, right? That she went there for 11 years and then graduated from Austin.
oops, I don't think
Yeah.
they had a high school at that time, so it just stood to reason that she had to go to a public school and not a
Right.
private school. But she
Right.
was accepted at Stanford University at the age of 16.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right.
She
Uh,
studied.
yeah, it's surprising. Mac Daddy Del Norte went to Austin, but he was not accepted to Stanford at the age of 16.
Yeah, nor was he the first female Chief Justice either. And we're
That's funny.
thankful for that.
Right.
Yeah. But
But
her Bachelor of Arts was in economics, but then she pursued a law degree, and she was at the top of her class at Stanford. Very
okay.
bright lady, very
All
very
right.
bright lady.
Very
But
cool.
she had
Yeah,
a whole. Go ahead.
yes. So she was nominated by President Ronald Reagan. She was an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court from 1981 to 2006.
25
Quite,
years.
yeah, quite a run. Quite a run.
Yeah, she was a judge in the Arizona Court of Appeals, a judge in Maricopa County. She was a senator in Arizona also.
Mhm.
She was the 23rd chancellor of the College of William and Mary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's quite a lady. I mean, I tell you what, and from what everything I've heard, she was very, very fair. You know, typically she leaned conservative, but
Uh-huh.
occasionally she would cross the aisle, and when it made sense, according to the Constitution, and she would side with a more liberal approach. But most often it was a conservative approach.
Okay. All right. Sandra Day O'Connor, 11 years at Radford. Shout out to Radford. We need to give credit where credit's due. But
Mhm.
Austin High School is where she graduated from. Went
Yeah.
on to quite a career, to say the least. And again, we're talking celebrities. I guess the definition of celebrity is just someone who's famous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's plenty famous, although not in the same way as Granny Clampett.
Sitting on the top of a car and on a
Right.
couch.
Exactly. Well, very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
Another person that I found interesting. This is going back a few years. I think I touched on it lightly once before when we were talking about Pancho Villa. And it was a guy by the name of Gunther Lessing.
Gunther Lessing. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
I know you, and you probably won't by the time I'm done either.
Uh,
But, no, in his own way, he was quite a guy. He was a German Jewish gentleman born in
Okay.
Waco, Texas, back in 1886, and he began studying law. Got his law degree. He was one of the top students in the schools that he went to. Well, in
Okay.
1914, he had moved to El Paso and set up a law firm. And one of his first clients was Mutual Film Corporation, which doesn't mean a whole lot to people. But if you've heard of Birth of the Nation, the movie, D.W. Griffith, that was a Mutual Film Corporation movie.
Mhm.
And so he was the lawyer for that company. He was the lawyer for Pancho Villa.
Pancho
And
Villa's lawyer. That's kind of cool, I guess.
yeah, in fact, his wife was very distraught because Villa was in Mexico City, and he summoned him to come down to help him with the situation down there. And
Mhm.
his wife did not want him to go, figuring he'd never come home. Well, he did. And he went
Wow.
down there, took care of the situation, then he traveled back to El Paso. Well, he ultimately moved to Los Angeles
Mhm.
and set up his practice there. And oh, by the way, while he was in Mexico with Pancho Villa, he met a movie actress by the name of Dolores Del Rio,
Okay.
very famous Mexican actress who moved to the United States and became even more popular in the United States. Beautiful lady, very, very pretty lady. She was considered one of the first great foreign-born actresses in Hollywood movies. Back in 24 and 25, they were still silent.
Okay.
He had a contract with her as her personal attorney. He also worked to get her citizenship in the United States. And while he was doing that, he had made such a name for himself in the LA area. There was a gentleman that said, "Hey, I need a good lawyer. And
Okay.
I think that you might be the one I need." So he was hired by Walt Disney
Okay, so Walt Disney hired Pancho Villa's lawyer.
Yes. Well, by then Pancho Villa was deceased.
Right.
There was a job opening. So Disney hired him to head up the legal department for Disney, the Disney brothers, and promoted him to vice president and general counsel for the Walt Disney Productions.
Okay.
And Disney Productions, he sat on the board on all the meetings. He had a chair all the time there. They were pretty laid back. It's sort of like if you look at Google, for instance, how casual they can be. Disney Productions was very casual, with the exception of Gunther Lessing. And he was the only person that was not called by their first name. They called him Mr. Lessing all the time. And quote unquote, Walt Disney, the only Mr. we have at the studio is our lawyer, Mr. Lessing. And the whole time he worked there for Walt Disney, that's how they addressed him. If you go to Disneyland in Anaheim and you go through the entrance there, through the little replica of a city, a town, if you look to the left in the brick buildings, you'll see an awning, blue, kind of a turquoise awning over a window. And on that awning, it says Gunther R. Lessing, Esquire.
Oh, wow.
So Walt felt so much about him that he actually dedicated that window to Gunther Lessing.
That's super cool. And again, what a colorful life to have been hired by Pancho Villa and Walt Disney, and hired by Mickey Mouse. Yeah, I see here he was actually hired to help protect the copyrights of Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
So he to have defended both Pancho and Mickey is quite the life.
Yeah, I just thought it was so interesting reading about him and the fact that he had such strong ties to El Paso and what took place in the Southwest. That kind of stuff fascinates me.
Right, and it's fun as we're chatting. I pulled up a picture of him on the internet. He looks like a very mild-mannered, mustachioed, balding lawyer, and here he is traveling into Mexico at, I guess, own personal risk, and just living this really, really colorful life.
Yeah, I mean it's really cool stuff. I like that. I like that kind of stuff.
So
now, another person that I found interesting was a guy by the name of Milton Brian Kibbe.
Milton
Brian Kibbe, Kibbee.
Okay.
If you look up Guy Kibbe, that's the person I'm talking about. He was a stage actor born in El Paso, over not too far from where the McGoffin home is.
Okay.
His father was the editor of the Herald Post newspaper. And Guy learned how to do typesetting. He worked in the shop with his dad at a young age. Well, he was not very, let's just say he didn't like living with the parents. He had aspirations of grandeur and was fascinated by the entertainment venues of the day. Now, this is going back, and he was about 14 years old, so it would have been 1910. He ran away from home at 14 and took up acting and entertaining on the Mississippi riverboats.
Oh, wow.
And he started to lose his hair, which at the age of 19 kind of took away from being the romantic leading man that he wanted to be. And he wasn't a very attractive guy. If you look at him, if you pull his pictures up, he's kind of a chunky kind of guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Guy Kibbe.
Guy Kibbe.
Yeah. And so if people are listening along and they do want to pull it up, look at a picture. The last name is Kibbee. I'm looking at a picture right now. He looks like he enjoyed being goofy.
And he was good at it. Yeah, people loved him. He was very jovial and happy all the time. And, even though when he was ill from time to time, even in his last days of life, he still maintained a pretty good attitude about everything.
Okay, so he was born here in El Paso, but he was dreaming of a life of grandeur. So he went to the Mississippi riverboats.
Went to the boats. Yep.
Yeah, I guess that falls under the category of there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Is it,
if you're looking for a life of grandeur, I don't know if the Mississippi riverboats are a good
no,
option
it's
anymore.
if you've seen any portrayals of what it really was like on a riverboat, you had two classes, one that had some and one that had none, and
Uh-huh.
the none was not not very comfortable. But
Right.
if you had a few pieces of gold in your pocket, you could live pretty good on a riverboat.
Right. So it worked for him, and he, I guess, graduated from riverboat to movies.
Yeah, he was on the stage for a while. He was traveling shows. They go around to the vaudeville things, and they do plays around the country. He did that for a number of years, and then his first movie was in 1930. It was called The Torch Song, and
Okay.
it was a pretty popular New York play or movie, and that's where he got his start in entertainment. Warner Brothers hired him as one of the stock company actors, which meant that whatever role they had, you took it. And so he did that, and he kept an attitude about him. I think 42nd Street was the first big movie he was in. Gold
Okay.
Diggers in 1933 was a big one.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, that was another one.
Okay.
And he was in movies with a lot of very very famous people. Let's see, Leo Carrillo, which if you've ever lived in California, Carrillo Beach is named after Leo Carrillo. He usually played Hispanic or a Mexican vaquero in the movies. But
Mhm.
Kibbe was in that one. It was, and also in a movie, a Thornton Wilder movie called Our Town. That was very, very popular. But he was in quite a few different movies. He ended up passing away from Parkinson's disease in New York in 1956.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what the moral of the story here is. I guess it's kids, follow your dreams, but don't go on a Mississippi riverboat.
Well, now here's another thing too. He had a propensity for a different style of dish, a breakfast dish. And
Okay.
what they would do is they cut the hole out of the center of the bread, and they'd crack the egg in the middle of it and put it on a skillet. And
Okay.
it first was filmed in a movie in 1935, Mary Jane's Paw,
Okay.
and the they called it egg in a basket or egg in a frame or Guy Kibbe eggs was another thing they called it. So he had he was known for the style of egg that he was eating. Neil Diamond referred to him while he was performing in the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, Hot August Night concert, and he referred to Guy Kibbe also. I guess he was a Guy Kibbe fan. Which, by the way, if you've not seen the movie about Neil Diamond, it's phenomenal.
I
It's
have not.
really, really, really. Pardon me.
I have not seen it.
You have to
Yeah.
see it. I tell you
Okay.
what, Hudson, she did a great job singing the character, portraying the character in the movie, the female. And I didn't realize she had such a good voice, but it was a fun movie to watch.
Super cool. Again, if you're just joining us, we're with Bernie Sargent, El Paso historian extraordinaire. Always enjoy these conversations, learning about the history of the community that we call home. And we do need to take a break. Before we go into the break, this is the part of the program where KELP Radio would like to thank its impact partners. These are local businesses, nonprofits, churches, educational institutions that have joined us in our journey to serve our community through radio ministry. The one I want to point out today is Border Therapy Services. They have 17 locations here in the borderland in southern New Mexico. And I shared a few times on air that I had excruciating neck and shoulder pain. And I went in and that no MRIs, no X-rays. They assessed me. They called it mechanically. Figured out what the problem was. Gave me some exercises, and I have been very much on the mend ever since. They were a huge help, and I've been now referring some of my friends to them. The number for Border Therapy Services is 915-455-9143. Again, it's 915-455-9143. Thank you to Border Therapy for being an impact partner. And if you run or own a local business here in El Paso and you're interested in becoming an impact partner, just reach out to us through KELPradio.com. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Greetings, KELP listeners. This is Terry Gray, pastor of Calvary Chapel, Sun City, and speaker on the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. Calvary Chapel, Sun City is located at 960 West Borderland Road on the west side of El Paso. We hold services on Wednesday evenings at 7 and on Sunday mornings at 9 and 11. If you are without a church home, we would love to have you join us for worship and Bible study. You can find out more information about us on the web at www.ccsuncity.org.
This is Pastor Steve Castrita. I'd like to extend the invitation for you to join us in service every Saturday at 5 p.m. at Redeeming Grace Church, El Paso. We are located at 2400 George Dieter inside Iglesia Philadelphia. We're a young church on the east side of El Paso with no smoke, no lasers, and no gimmicks, just the uncompromising Word of God and a call to win the 915 for Jesus Christ. We'd love to meet you and your family. God bless you, and thank you for listening to KELP.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
And we're back. You are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're with Bernie Sargent, talking El Paso history and specifically celebrities who came from El Paso. So from Granny Clampett to Sandra Day O'Connor to the man who defended both Pancho Villa and Mickey Mouse. El Paso has been the home of some really interesting, colorful lives. Bernie, who else do we have from El Paso?
Well, if I could just close out the one about Guy Kibbe.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned he looked like he was a happy kind of guy. One of his good friends in the entertainment industry was a guy by the name of Henry McLemore.
Okay.
Spent a lot of movies, wrote a lot of books and so on. And his quote about Guy Kibbe was, "Shed no tears for Guy. He had little use for tears."
Mm.
Even though he died stony broke, as McLemore put it, he said, end quote, "he was a real sweet man." So it's nice to have that kind of a reputation.
Sure.
Compared to some of these other folks out there.
Sure.
Zebulon Pike had a little bit of influence on El Paso.
Okay.
He was portraying, I should say, he was actually serving as a scout because he knew this area so well. He'd spent so much time in the Southwest that he did scouting for the soldiers and did pass through El Paso from time to time. So that he's kind of an interesting person to talk about.
Zebulon Pike. He sounds like someone who was not born recently.
No, this is going way back. Yeah.
So tell us about Zebulon Pike.
Tell you about Zebulon Pike.
Yes.
Zebulon Pike. Let me touch base on it. He was there's a famous mountain in Colorado named after him because he was an explorer of the area. Pikes Peak.
Right. Okay. I know Pikes Peak.
There you go. So he was the one that really found, or for Caucasians, because the natives knew about it, but very few gringos really had any idea what that peak was or that this part of the world was. But Zebulon Pike did. He was very, very much the explorer of the day. And he, like I said, he was one that he led a lot of exploration into the Southwest. He also ultimately ended up in Canada, where he lost his life due to an explosion. He was a commanding officer, and one round of artillery came in and hit the storage area where they had the ammunition. It exploded, and it was let's just say he didn't meet it wasn't a sweet departure from the face of the earth, but he was very much a hero, very much influential in the settlement of the Southwest. Just an interesting gentleman to learn more about or to study more about.
Bernie, when you look at all of these folks who came through El Paso, let's maybe do a little bit of just dreaming or imagining. They went on to fame and fortune in places like Los Angeles and New York City and Mississippi riverboats. They lived in a different time.
Mhm.
Some as early as the 1800s, some later on in the 1960s. What is it that you think that they most remember or would talk about when they would go to those other places?
Well, depending on who you talk to, I know if you're talking to, for instance, Susan Shelby McGoffin, who was probably one of the first Caucasian women that went through El Paso. Uh, she talked about how dusty and dry it was, but the
Yeah.
people were wonderful. And it seems to be,
Yeah, some things never change, right?
I know it seems to be the overriding theme. Well, hey, what's like my daughter said when she came home from her first semester at school at Texas A&M, riding from the airport to our home on West Side, and she's staring out the window, not saying much, which is unusual for her. And I said, "What's wrong?" She goes, "It's so beige." So, and it's true, but historically it wasn't always beige. I mean, you go back thousands and thousands of years, there was a lot of green, a lot of trees and things like that. As people were needing to heat their homes and so on, they were cutting down trees, and eventually, as the environment warmed, the trees didn't grow back quite as fast as they should have or could have, and so the mountain stayed quite bare, with the exception of desert tolerant plants. And so the feeling was going through there, you had the river, and as long as you were close to the river, you had green. Once you got
Mm,
away from the green, then it became beige. And it was that was the general feeling. They talk about how they didn't like the dry. I mean, at first they liked the dry, but it wears on them pretty quickly because it's just dry.
mhm.
And it countered that by, for instance, Custer's wife, when they were traveling through Texas after the Civil War, she was just bored with all the trees and mosquitoes. So,
Yeah.
you had the dry or you had the trees and mosquitoes. Never the twain shall meet. But when the railroad came through in '81, the railroads, plural, because a number of them did, there was that same affinity for, well, it's so dry, but then again, it's not cold and snowy. It's not rainy all the time. So,
Mhm.
you have to take the good with the bad and
Right.
make the best of it. So that's kind of the way people were when they addressed it. And again, it goes back to what I said initially. The people are friendly. It's
Right.
it's a melting pot, and people get along, and that's what's always been so cool about El Paso and the surrounding area.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. And I would imagine someone who grew up in El Paso in the 60s, the 1960s, or the 1890s, because we talked about both, they would
Yeah.
have kind of different outlook on El Paso. But what you're pointing out, it is dry, it is hot, it is dusty, and it
Mhm.
is a melting pot. Those things have always been true.
Well, the dryness had its attractions also, because people with tuberculosis, the doctors were recommending them to go to El Paso. So
Right,
we had a number of TB clinics set up there in El Paso to treat these folks that were coming in. It only
right.
wasn't until probably the last 40 or 50 years that the attraction to tuberculosis patients sort of dwindled, because people brought trees in, which brought in different types of things in the air that weren't conducive to good rehabilitation from tuberculosis. But we did
Right.
have air conditioning, so that helped an awful lot.
Yeah.
But they at nighttime they like to leave the windows open and in TB clinics so that the air can flow through and they got fresh air all the time. But if you've got pollen in the air, it's not going to help a whole heck of a lot.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
that was something that attracted people to El Paso also, was the TB clinics. So it's an interesting growth pattern, a lot of
Mhm.
fun learning about it, a lot of fun talking to people who have been to El Paso as opposed to people that have been through El Paso.
What's the difference?
Interstate 10.
Oh.
I talked to a lot of people, said, "Oh, I've been through El Paso." I said, "Did you ever go to it?" I
Yeah.
didn't have any reason to.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah. Well, you need to go to El Paso because you got
Yeah.
all kinds of really neat things to see there. And
Yeah.
if you like trees, that's not the place to be. But if you
Right.
like to learn about the environment, the flora and the fauna of high desert, that's a great place to go because it has its own beauty. If you look at the Franklin Mountains with the different types of cactus that grow there, the different type of plant life that grow there, it's nice. It's very, very attractive, but it's
For
not
sure.
something everybody likes. But the people are friendly.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good challenge for anyone who's listening from outside of El Paso. If you're driving through, make sure you make a stop and that you don't just go through, but you go to El Paso, stop for lunch, walk around the downtown area, just get a feel for the city. Even if it's just for a couple hours, it'll be worth your time. Bernie,
Sure.
so appreciate these conversations. Again, history is such a key part of understanding the community that we live in. So appreciate your time, these conversations.
Sure, absolutely. And to give you an idea how friendly it is, when the synagogues were trying to establish this, Jews were trying to set their synagogues up in El Paso. They didn't always have all the money they needed at the time to do that. So a lot of the other churches, all the Christian churches, Catholic churches, Christians, pitched in and helped.
Wow.
And so they worked together. The freedom of religion meant a lot. It
Right.
wasn't freedom from religion; it was freedom of religion, and
Right.
it meant a lot to the people that settled early El Paso.
Wow. That's super cool. And yeah, just a good reminder to be friendly. That's what makes El Paso great. Bernie, thanks again. As we always say, let's learn to love our city. Let's learn to love the history of our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk.
You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. To listen to this or any previous edition of 915 Talk, just visit